Hello, welcome to The Moment. As you've probably seen on the news, a new cancer treatment centre is due to open early this year in the northeast. Rutherford Cancer Centres have been building a treatment clinic in West Sleekburn that will offer a new proton beam therapy for private individuals and not as part of the NHS. The centre will be only the second in the UK that Rutherford has built to be offering this treatment, the first being in South Wales. And so to find out about the centre and the treatment itself, I spoke to Chris Land, who's the centre manager for Rutherford Cancer Centres North East. And I started by asking him how the Rutherford Centres got started.
It was actually Proton Partners International is the founding organisation, and that is the company that is, if you like, the overarching organisation, and within that company is Rutherford Cancer Centres. So Proton Partners International was founded in February 15, and one of the founding partners is Professor Carol Sikora, and he, 38 years as a leading oncologist, has worked in both NHS and in the private sector, and he has been very keen to develop and bring high energy proton beam therapy to the UK, and he had this idea to develop a network of cancer centres offering proton beam therapy as well as radiotherapy, conventional radiotherapy and chemotherapy. So a group of investors got together, and our chief exec, Mike Moran, was one of those, formed a company and decided to put Carol's vision into action. So the first centre was is in South Wales, in Newport, and that has been open for a year now for conventional radiotherapy and chemotherapy, and we'll be treating our first patients. They're already booked in April this year, so in a couple of months, a high energy proton beam therapy, and they were the first patients to be treated in the UK, which is fantastic, really.
Right, so it's not like the one in Wales has been going for a few years and this is like the latest one. This is all very new then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so Northumberland, my centre is the second site in our development. So we're hoping to start treating patients from July this year. Conventional radiotherapy and chemotherapy, immunotherapy, and then the proton machine, we're hoping to be able to treat protons here in the northeast from around May time next year. So as you saw a couple of weeks ago, beginning of this month, we have a delivery of the cyclotron and the gantry. So it actually took 12 months to actually install the machine, and then a further 2 or 3 months to commission the machine to make sure that we are safe and able to treat patients. So it's a very lengthy process.
Yeah, definitely. So how does Rutherford operate differently to the NHS? What do you provide that's different?
Well, we are, obviously we sit outside the NHS, so we are a private healthcare organisation. We offer proton beam therapy, which at the moment the NHS don't offer, but we will start offering protons to patients here in the UK from August, September this year. So they have 2 sites under construction. The first one is in Manchester, Christie's, and that's due to come online in August. And then the second site is in London, UCLH. But they've had problems from a construction point of view, and I think that's been delayed a couple of years. So the current NHS indication list, if you like, is very much aimed towards paediatrics, and so a lot of adult-based tumours are not necessarily recognised by the NHS as for proton beam therapy, whereas we are sort of adopting the model that's operated around the world. Really, is that proton therapy is another modality of treatment, and we take each patient on a case-by-case basis, and we're looking to double plan. So what we mean by double plan is that we'll have a patient where we'll plan for conventional radiotherapy, which is using photons, and then we'll plan for protons, and then we'll make it with the oncologist, of course, and our clinical team will then make a decision on the best course of treatment. So it's very much a personalised treatment, what we can deliver. And whereas with the NHS, at the moment, they don't recognise many, if at all, any adult-based tumours. So in effect, they plan to only treat paediatrics in their centres.
Right, I see. So how does proton beam therapy work then?
Yeah, so it's a lot more targeted than conventional radiotherapy. So it's pencil beam, and it's adaptive to the tumour. And the key difference between protons over photons with conventional radiotherapy is that the Bragg peak of the proton it behaves very different to photons. So in effect, once it hits the Bragg peak hits its maximum, which within planning, then you apply it to the tumour at its maximum, so it's getting the maximum dose of radiation. As soon as that happens, then the energy, if you like, of it stops. So if you imagine climbing a cliff, and then you reach the top, and then it just falls off.
Mm.
So with conventional radiotherapy with photons, the Bragg peak behaves very differently in that it climbs the peak and then it just gradually sort of descends. What that means in real term is when you're delivering radiation to the body and targeting the tumour, the entry dose into the body will be the same over photons and protons, but once the energy hits or the photons hits the tumour, it will continue through the body.
Mm.
So what that's doing is damaging good cells around the tumour.
Yeah.
Whereas with protons, once it hits the tumour, it stops. It doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
So what it does, it protects those good healthy tissues and cells around the tumour. So the longer term effect of that to patients is that there's less side effects with protons over photons because the rest of the body is maintained in its healthy state. Think of a sort of a brain tumour, if you like, where the heart, or spine, prostate, for example, things that are hard to reach without causing sort of collateral damage to other parts. The proton is absolutely key for that.
Yeah. So what's the success rate of the treatment then?
That's a good question because protons is not new. It's not new technology, and it's not a new treatment. It's just new to the UK. So it's in America, it's very well established in America. In Holland, for example, and the global market of protons is absolutely booming. And what is a problem, if you like, is proving that it is sometimes better than conventional radiotherapy. Partly that's because you can't necessarily do a randomised trial with a group of patients because you're here to make a difference in people's lives. So you have to do what's best for those patients all the time. But there is very little data out there. But that's why we've set up Rutherford Innovations, because as part of our overall sort of commitment to developing better cancer care, is we want to actually prove that protons is an excellent treatment that we believe it is. So we were looking to do sort of trials, and we'll be looking to collect data. So in the longer term, we can show the benefits of protons over photons, and that's not necessarily, excuse me, the just about sort of saving lives, etc. But if you think of a patient, the health economics around the patient, if you cure the tumour with using photons, but then you cause a lot of collateral damage, then in effect you've got to be looking after that patient for the life, and the cost of maintaining that person's health can be high. So with protons, with less side effects, we hope that over time we will be able to demonstrate that there is real health economic benefit to protons over photons.
Yeah. Was it first trialled in America then, or was that just one of the places it started?
I'm not sure where to be honest. I'm sure there's research out there. I'm not sure where it first started, but I would say America is probably a safe bet. Their healthcare system is very different to ours. I mean, they're not fortunate enough to have an NHS system, so everything is very much paid for over there.
Yeah.
So, and it is, in terms of the development of protons, it's an ongoing debate. And some people look for that research to prove, and some people don't. They just take the logic of it and say, well, it can't. It's certainly it's not any worse than conventional photons. So, and I can see the potential upside. So I'm happy to start thinking about protons as a modality of treatment.
All right.
So it's within certainly oncology, it's an ongoing hot topic of debate. But then, the NHS recognise it. They're building 2 centres themselves. But they're just very restrictive in terms of what tumour site they want to treat with this first, and that's predominantly the paediatrics children.
Yeah, because there was some talk about your centres taking on some NHS patients too, so would that sort of be filling in the gap?
Yeah, absolutely. So we believe the number of patients that require radical radiotherapy in the UK, we believe the numbers are around 10% of those patients would be better served with protons. And if that's the case, then we need 18 proton machines in the country, or in the UK. So the NHS think the number's 1%, and they've built 2 centres, which basically equates to that 1%. And it's an ongoing debate on what that is. If you look at the percentage in America, it's upwards of 20%. If you look at percentage, for example, in Holland, I think it's around 13%. So it's somewhere between 1% and 20% all of it, and we believe somewhere in the middle. So what we're seeing is that once the NHS centres will be up and running, they'll be full. Pretty much there'll be a capacity straight away. So what we're saying is that we're more than happy to work with the NHS to work on that additional capacity issues that we feel as though we're going to have. But it's all around. They're not necessarily recognising that because it's just about the funding of the treatment, really. But from our point of view, we're more than happy to work with the NHS around developing protons for delivering the best form of treatment to patients.
Yeah.
And I think there's a locality issue, which and a social impact on families as well. So if once at the moment the NHS is sending patients to typically Jacksonville in Florida, and proton treatment for children, can last up to 3 months. So families are having to raise funds to go out there and to live out there and cope with life over there, which is, as you will imagine, so it's just horrific. And then also maintaining your family life here, your bills don't stop, and especially if you've got multiple children, so you're going to have to divide the family. So when Manchester comes online, that's fantastic. So there's no need for families to travel abroad. But for some people who are here in the North East, even travelling to Manchester will be a massive impact on them from a social point of view. What we're saying is that we're building a network of cancer centres. So in terms of what we've currently got in our network now under construction and future sites that we've got earmarked, the plan is 80% of the UK population will have access to high energy proton therapy within a 90-minute drive time. Which in effect, removes the need for overnight stay, massive disruption, additional cost.
Yeah. No, definitely. So, why was the decision made to set up in the North East? Because you'd expect, go to the south first.
Yeah, so it was very much so. Like I say, Wales was the first site, and that was strategically important because actually NHS Wales wanted that provision within their own country, and that covers sort of the southwest of the country, if you like, of the UK. We wanted one in the north of England. The northeast has a fantastic provision of cancer care anywhere with the Northern Centre Cancer Care at Freeman. We were looking in the northeast for various different sites. Northumberland County Council have been massively supportive from day one. They we actually, even though it requires a bit of vision. If I was to take myself back 2 years, standing on our site looking on Earth balance, there's nowhere on Earth you would have thought this is a fantastic place to build a cancer centre. But actually, there's major plans for that Earth balance site, and there's other healthcare facilities that are really marked to be developed on there. So we are the first, if you like. So we are the anchor tenant. But actually, the building is up now, and I've had patient groups through, I've had clinical people through, and they all think it's an absolutely amazing environment to come and have treatment, because typically you're going into a busy city centre type of hospital where parking is very restrictive. It's busy, it's hustle and bustle, and whereas on our side it's very relaxed, and it's very calming, with that sort of natural sort of habitat where it surrounds,
Yeah.
So there was a lot of sort of plus points pointing us to certainly Northumberland, and then narrowing it down into Earth balance, and of course the construction of it, because when building a proton centre, we need a certain requirement to house the proton machine. So I mean, it'd be great, Oliver. Once in a couple of weeks, you're more than welcome to come down, and I can tour you around, so you can see for yourself what it's all about.
So from the sounds of it, this could be a big leap for the North East in terms of the kinds of cancer treatments available. Although Rutherford's unique aspect is the proton beam treatment, they do offer other more common cancer treatments as well. Now, since doing the interview itself, I've spoken with Mr. Land about going down to film the centre for a future programme. This will hopefully be happening in early April when the building is near completion, so it'll be a little while before I get to actually show you what the place itself looks like and give you an update on the story. And that's all for this episode. Be sure to join me in 2 weeks' time for more from around Northumberland and Newcastle. If you like this episode, please share it around on whatever social media platforms you use. It's really useful for getting the moment out there to new listeners. Until then, I'm Oliver Ralph, and this is The Moment.